and welcome to your first session of the TOEFL iBT preparation course. My name is Ms. Caroline, and I will be helping you through this course. USA Education and me, the English Language Fellow, have joined together with the University of Education in Ho Chi Minh City to provide this free TOEFL iBT course for students in Vietnam. But you can get more information about USA Education and on the 8th floor in the Diamond Plaza. They have excellent resources for studying abroad, and we'll talk a little bit more about this organization later. USA Education also has a website. This can help guide you through the steps to preparing for studying abroad. You can go to their website, usaeducation.state.gov, and you can also like their page on Facebook to find out more about study abroad fairs, study abroad information, as well as academic and cultural events at the American Center. You can visit their office in the Diamond Plaza, as I mentioned, for more individualized help. You can then get information for you and your parents about many different things, like schools, financial aid, or visa preparation. It's best if you set up an appointment for a consultation. You can do this by calling the number on the screen or sending an email. There are also walk-in hours, which are listed on the right of this slide. So, throughout this course, you will be exploring each of these topics with me. You will also be required to complete quizzes, pre- and post-video reflections, and practice questions and exams. Don't worry, all of the information is included inside your course materials. Each section has a guide. You should read this first. Feel free to watch these videos more than one time. TOEFL vocabulary is very technical. It is absolutely okay to pause and look up a word or replay a confusing section. Today's focus is all about the TOEFL IBT test. In general, the TOEFL IBT measures your ability to use English. You will be using all 4 skills. The TOEFL is the most accepted test in the world for undergraduate, graduate, and postgraduate programs. Of course, remember that the TOEFL IBT is completed on a computer. You will need to complete an online registration. If you go to the ETS TOEFL website, you can find more details. Registration is usually available 3 to 4 months before the test date. Remember to register early. Seats can fill up very quickly. If you are taking the exam in Ho Chi Minh City, you can see the address for where it will be taken on the screen. Okay, so before we move on, I want to take a minute to discuss the difference between the TOEFL IBT exam and the IELTS exam. Many students are confused which one to take or which one is easier, and that really depends on you and where you want to study abroad. But we can discuss the similarities and the differences between each test. So both of these exams are English language tests aimed at pre-university students who are planning to make the next step in higher education. Both will evaluate how well you can combine your listening, reading, writing, and speaking skills. And you have to pay a fee for both exams. The fee depends on where you take the test, but you can expect to pay somewhere between $150 to $250. Now, there are some differences. Both tests focus on the same thing, but they do it in different ways. So, the most known difference between the IELTS and the TOEFL IBT exam concerns the speaking section. On the IELTS exam, you will speak with an interviewer, and they will determine your score. However, for the TOEFL exam, your speech will be recorded, and then that information that you say into the microphone will be sent to an examiner to score. The scoring system is also different. IELTS rates between 0 and 9, but you can get halfway points. TOEFL gives a more numerical SAT type grade, and it totals your scores from each area. Okay, so now we've discussed the differences between the TOEFL exam and the IELTS. Remember, this course is focused on TOEFL IBT. And on the screen, you will see a breakdown of the number of questions you will have in each section and the time you will have to complete it. In case you are confused, an integrated task on the TOEFL IBT will require you to use more than one skill. For example, you might have to listen to a conversation or a lecture and then respond in the speaking section. Or you might have to listen to or read something before you write. The independent task will not require you to do outside reading or listening to answer the question. Now, let's look a little deeper into the format. You will be guided through each section with instructions. Make sure you listen and read carefully along the way. You're allowed to take notes throughout the exam, but they will be collected at the end. You cannot leave with anything that you have written during the test. Because the speaking and writing sections will need to be scored by trained ETS professionals, all of your scores will be reported online and by mail. We'll talk more about scoring next. The TOEFL IBT test provides score reports in 4 skill areas and gives you a total score. The TOEFL score reports give valuable information about a test taker's readiness to participate and succeed in academic studies in an English-speaking environment. Scores are reported online approximately 10 days after the test. Test takers can view their scores online at no charge. Colleges, universities, and agencies receive paper score reports if the test taker has selected them as score recipients. A paper copy of the score report is mailed to the test taker only upon request. Test taker score reports also include performance feedback. That indicates whether their performance was high, medium, or low, and describes what test takers in each score range typically know and can do with the English language. This is a sample of what the TOEFL IBT score report looks like. So this includes all the information that was discussed in the previous slide. This is what your universities, agencies, or you will receive when you get the score report. Before we move on, I want to look at a couple of scoring frequently asked questions. Number 1, how do I get my scores? As we mentioned previously, your scores will be posted online in approximately 10 days after you complete the exam. Then they will be mailed to the institutions that you selected while you took the TOEFL exam. Included in your registration fees are 1 online report and 1 mailed report for you if you requested it. You can also send up to 4 official reports that ETS will send directly to the institutions or agencies that you select before you take the test. Number 2, can I order additional score reports? Yes. For a small fee, you can send score reports to as many institutions as you choose. You can find more information about ordering additional score reports on the ETS website. Number 3, how long are scores valid? ETS will report scores for 2 years after the test date. 4, will institutions accept scores from previous tests? Well, there is no one answer for this question. You need to check with each institution or agency directly for the most correct response. Score requirements. So, just as we mentioned previously, each institution sets its own requirements for TOEFL scores. Test takers should consult their target institutions to determine their specific TOEFL score requirements. A list of colleges, universities, and agencies that accept the TOEFL scores and a list of institutional score requirements reported to ETS can be attained at www.toeflgoanywhere.org. So, as you can see on the screen, you will be able to search according to many different criteria for what you're looking for. There are many purchasable resources and online resources that you can find when preparing for the TOEFL exam. The ETS publishes updated versions of their official TOEFL guide often. And actually, this course that you are taking is based on the most updated TOEFL guide. You can access the paper version of this TOEFL guide for free at the American Center in the Diamond Plaza. There are also many other online resources for TOEFL IBT training, And we hope that you can use this guide and the American Center to supplement your journey and success on the TOEFL exam. The last thing I want to mention is activities. Remember, you have 2 activities for this general introduction video. So please read through your guide and review all the materials before moving on to the next section. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.